Welcome to Land Academy. I'm Jack Butala.
I'm Jill DeWit.
We show you how to buy real estate for half of what it's worth.
And sell it on the internet really fast.
We are Jack and Jill, and this is the Jack and Jill Show 2. With over 15,000 completed transactions, we're the experts at acquiring property.
Of all kinds, not just land.
For half price and flipping them for way more.
All right, let's get this show started.
Jack Butala with Jill DeWit.
Hi.
Welcome to the show today. In this episode, Jill and I talk about being a real estate agent and how it's not really a career.
We're going to tick off a lot of people.
It would be the first time or the last time. Before we get into it, let's take a question posted by one of our members on the landinvestors.com online community. It's free.
Okay. Chris asked, I'm looking at a county surplus auction inventory list. That's a mouthful. And researching land I want to bid on. One of the property descriptions from the county auction book reads, vacant lot, subject to apparent encroachment by structure, half of a house. Seriously, you can't make this stuff up. I didn't say that. He wrote that, and they're right. So Chris goes on to add, I looked up the parcel number and the lot for auction, or the PIN number in this auction, and the lot is a garage half of the house.
Good for you doing your research.
Is the garage half of the house?
I've seen this kind of stuff all the time.
The other half of the house taxes are owned by the county. Oh my gosh. At what point do you, I would have run a long time ago.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But no, this is good. I'm really glad that you asked this question, and I'm glad our producer chose it for us.
Right. The other half of the house's taxes are owned by the county, but that portion is not up for surplus auction this year. It's a tax lien state. I dug even a bit deeper on the other half, and the taxes have been sold and taken back to the county twice over the past 7 years. The caveat, this is a beautiful infill lot right on a golf course. I did drive by the lot.
Oh.
Do you have any experience with this type of encroachment? My specific questions are, it keeps going. I was going to say, one, do I run? No. One, if I purchase the land with half a house encroaching and the county owns the other half, will I be able to sell my half?
Yes.
2, will I essentially own half a house? 3,
yes.
The property is a prime lot and there will be more seasoned bidders at the auction. Should I run screaming and cross this one off my bidding list?
Yes.
Retail is around $22,000 for the comps, and the bidding starts at $600. 4, or just go for it and ask questions later.
No.
I.e. higher or lower here after I purchase. It's hilarious. I suspect the answer is a combination of the above, but I welcome any direction. Thanks in
Okay,
advance.
first of all,
it's hilarious,
Chris. You are exactly who we want in our group. You have done every single thing right when you go to an auction. I mean, and you've asked all the right questions. You've done your research. You even went and looked at the property, which I have to say most of the time I've never done. Mm-hmm. So kudos to you. This deal is too complicated, no matter how profitable.
Right.
And I know you've heard us talk about it 17,000 times on the show and everywhere else.
Exactly.
There's no replacement for sending out a lot of mail.
Right.
If this wasn't an auction scenario and you got the property back or the purchase agreement to buy this property back and you did all this research, you would have run, right? But for some reason it's an auction and there's this perception that you can get it cheaper, and that's fine. I went through exactly what you're going through. In fact, for several years, actually before Jill, for several
What'll
years.
happen before Jill? We'll talk about that later.
Whole company. It wasn't as successful, I'll tell you that. Ran the whole company on auctions like this. And then I started sending out letters. And it's just much easier to get the stuff back in the mail and have people call you. And it's more mechanical and more automated. So to answer all your questions, I would run from this deal.
I have 2 things to add.
Yeah.
Well, one is, here's the thing about auctions. Number 1, you're going out looking for deals instead of letting them come to you. And number 2 is, there's a reason why this one's sitting around.
Yeah.
It's obviously a problem. It's still a problem. So somebody's going to purchase a problem, and I'd rather not be that person. And I don't think you want to also, Chris. But I do have to say I love you. When Jack said you're exactly the right person for the group, I thought it had to do with number 4 is, hey, just go for it and ask questions later. So, which is really, as funny as it is, it's really not the way we want to run our businesses.
Right. Let's say, for sake of argument, we'll wrap up the question on this. You get everything you want. The starting bid $600 and it retails for $22. So you buy it for $600 and you resell it for $22,000, and now you have half of a house on half of a golf course lot. Is that what you want?
Yeah.
By the time you're all done, you're going to make $20,000 on this, and how much stuff you're going to have to go through, how many times you're going to resell it.
Good point.
Jill and I have. There's one property specifically I think we've sold 10 times before we stopped. We had to refund the money and there's problems. Eventually, we just let it go back. Don't make that mistake. So I really think that if you just sent out a couple of mailers, you're going to make way more than $20,000.
I know.
Probably on several deals on their own, not combined. So
Jack,
why put yourself through it?
I know. I mean, that's the whole thing. $20,000 initially sounds like a lot of money. But when you realize I could have done 4 deals and made $5,000 on those 4 deals, okay, now it doesn't sound like so much money.
Or I could have wholesaled 6 houses and made $600,000.
Right.
So when it's all relative. By the way, I have to reiterate, you totally approach this perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean it. A lot of times we get questions like, is it a good idea? Hey, Jill, is it
north facing
a good idea to buy and sell land?
Or I was going to go really another direction, but that's good.
What direction?
No. Just being really picky about the property, and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
like that. Yeah, all good.
Auction property, you can make money mostly in tax liens, not so much tax deeds, but there's no replacement for sending out mail.
Exactly.
If you have a question or you want to be on the show, reach out to either one of us on landinvestors.com. Today's topic, being a real estate agent is not a career. This is the meat of the show. I could see Jill lit up in the studio when she saw this topic.
No, but I did not write this topic. Let me go back and say that.
I wrote it.
My goal in life is not to piss off real estate agents. Now,
Really?
if that really happens, I'm okay with that. But I'm not setting out to piss off anybody. So I just want to start with that. I'm done. That was my public service announcement.
Every time I've ever brought this up, right, sitting with a real estate agent in any environment, and I've said, real estate, the whole concept of a real estate agent is really obsolete.
I know.
I don't care if they're a brand new real estate agent or they're 30 years old or they make $16 million a year, like my little sister does in Michigan. They all say they have the exact same reaction. They look at me and say, oh, yeah, it is. You're right. They don't ever defend themselves. They don't ever say, well, wait a second. You really do need a real estate agent, and we earn our money. And darn it, I'm going to give you 16 examples. And here's several names of people that love working with me, and they were happy to write the check at the end of the deal.
Yeah,
Never.
You're right. No.
Not one of them has ever said, wow, you're a kook. You're the only one on the planet who thinks that being a real estate agent is not a career. The world needs us.
Well, and some people will say, but they walk me through all the stuff. No, they don't. The title company does that. Let's really think about that. Who's putting all the paperwork together and doing all that? You could remove the agent and do the deals directly with the title company.
Which is what we do all the time.
And they're going to handle the transaction and take care of the money. The agent doesn't take care of the money. You know what the agent does? You write the check and they hand it to the title company. They don't deposit the money. You don't. That they're not allowed to.
So it's the 21st century and there's the internet and computers and stuff. And before the original concept of a real estate agent, this is before you even had to get a license, was, the social butterfly, or the person who's the most social person in the town or city where you live, and they knew it was for sale before the MLS. Oh, John on the 3 seats over, I talked to him a couple days ago. He's thinking about selling his house. Let me put you guys together. I know you want to buy a house.
And then I get a piece of it.
Right. So that, back then, it was needed. Was it really needed though? Well, there was no real informational way to share who wanted to sell their house or who didn't, right? And there's no database scenario where you could send them all a letter or anything like that. So that was needed. But now, you don't need a real estate agent. We are all our own in our group. We're all our own real estate agents and escrow agents and everything else.
I really feel bad bashing on
save?
them, but I have something to say about
That's
this
6%.
Okay, well, hold on a moment here too. So, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna really get in trouble here.
No, let it out.
All right, on what planet is it okay to say, I want you to sign this contract that I'm so insecure that no matter what, even if you close a deal, I still get my money. Why is that?
An exclusive agreement, you mean?
Yeah. Really?
I understand where they're coming from. They want to put the time in and all that, but I agree.
Yeah, but what if? Come on, I mean, how many agents don't put the time in? But you're stuck because you signed that paper that said, even though I put this whole deal together now, I still have to pay you because not 6 months had passed or 90 days, whatever it is.
Here's a couple of examples before the show. I wrote down a few examples of what I think. Some things that a real estate agent could do that actually would add some tremendous value to a deal.
Ready.
Developer A goes and builds a 4-unit condo complex that's right on the ocean somewhere. Very exclusive. Only a certain number of class of people can afford it. And so they hire a real estate agent. And the real estate agent, rather than hiring a photographer and putting together a silly little flyer and waiting, which is 99.8% of what they do, they actively go out, let's say maybe to a hospital where there's meet with a hospital administrator, maybe 2 of them if it's in an urban market, and offer some type of discount for doctors who are young doctors who need a place to stay that's close to the hospital or want to buy a house for an investment. That's some real added value. In fact, that's what an intelligent developer would do. Then why do you need a real estate agent?
Exactly.
Here's what else a real estate agent might do. Stage the house. Real estate agents never think, for some reason,
I know,
to stage the house and make it look as good as it possibly can and take responsibility for making the site clean and the house clean and arranging and helping the people move in and out and helping with the mover and all that. That's value.
Do you know what's funny? I agree. I remember one time a long time ago, my brother was selling a house, and this agent was doing the open house that we're all trying to help. And this agent, I'm the one that made the cookies. Didn't even think about that. I'm like, are we serious? My mom was really the one running around cleaning up, and I'm baking cookies. And the agent's just kind of standing there with flyers in hand. I'm like, really? Seriously? And I didn't get a commission.
Take responsibility for the deal.
Yep.
Not just get in the way. That's really what it comes down to. And that's really the takeaway from this show. Most real estate agents, even commercial ones now, they're getting in the way of the transaction. They're actually not helping.
Hey, Jack, what else is not a career? Is what you do a career?
Probably not.
That's where I was going. Jack, is podcaster a career?
No, not at all. I don't know. On its own? No.
Yeah.
Like, I could scream into a microphone about all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of most popular shows on the radio and on podcasting are people just venting.
Is radio, what do you call it, broadcaster a career?
Yeah, probably. I mean, delivering the news, and I don't know. Okay. I'm not sure.
Is
I think we
a lifeguard a career?
Yeah, heck yes, a lifeguard's a career. If you're helping anyone in any way, which I'd like to think we're doing, at least maybe the 3 or 4 listeners that listen to this show, they might feel helped. I don't know.
Is supermodel a career?
Yeah, heck yes.
Really?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Is that helping makes people happy?
Now I'm really confused. Supermodel makes me happy. What the heck? What is that?
No.
She's making. What do you do? I'm a supermodel. I make people happy.
Do male supermodels? Remember that soccer game we were watching a couple days ago?
Yeah, the guy without the shirt did make me happy.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Oh.
Teachers are incredibly necessary.
Are firefighters a career?
Yeah, yes, it is. Firefighters are necessary.
I had to bring that up because there's a special love in your heart for firefighters.
They have after 9/11, it seems to have there's an attitude.
Okay. Okay.
But it could be for a lot of different reasons. But continue to put out fires. Thank you.
Are politicians a career?
They could be. The good ones are. And that is something we will never talk about on this show. Look, if you're getting there's some real estate agents that are fantastic. It's probably less than 1% that actually add some value, and they're humping it hard. They're hustling. They're actually selling your property. If they're going to create, let me put it this way: let me do some math real quick. What's 6% of 3,000? It's $18,000.
Okay.
I mean, $300,000. Are they at a $300,000 house? The gross fee before all the splits is $18,000. Did they earn that? Well, if they sold the house for $318,000 instead of $300,000, then yeah. Or $330,000, so that the owner actually received some value for what they were doing. Or did they hem and haw and say, "Oh, now you got to do this, now you got to do this, now you got to." That's been my experience.
Right.
And every time again I bring this up with the real estate agent, they don't defend themselves. They say, "Oh yeah, that's pretty much how it goes."
Yeah. You're right.
So, if they are adding value and really maybe selling the property faster or exposing it to more people, but if they're taking pictures on their iPhone and submitting it to the multiple listing service and waiting.
I've even had people have to do their own photos and stuff too.
Or if they hire some young kid in the office to sit and hold the open house for them, and all they're doing is just going out and getting new listings, which is really what they're doing. The formal education for a real estate agent is to get more listings. The more listings you get, the more money you're going to make.
Because you're upping your numbers.
Forget about managing the listings that you have. Mm-hmm. Just get more listings.
Just up your numbers.
And that's a pile of malarkey.
Exactly. Well, the other point that I want to make here at the end is just to make sure everybody knows you don't have to have an agent. That's the part that really bums me out too.
So.
It's like half of the agents are walking around because people assume you have to have one, and this is the only one I know.
That's right.
He's a family friend, so we're selling a house, and I have to use an agent. So here you go. You don't have to.
Some people don't have time, and I understand that. Super, super busy, and they need to hire an agent. Just hopefully they sell the house for a little bit more, or they sell it faster.
Right.
I get, there's some value in that. Mm-hmm. Somebody asked me, I was talking to a buddy of mine recently, and he said, my daughter just bought a car, and his daughter is, I don't know, in her mid-20s, and she's single and has a professional job. So she walked into the dealership and said, "My payment's X, whatever. Let's just call it $400. They need a new car because." And so she got a new car, and her payment was $400 for the new car. She needs to be safe. She needs to get to work on time. She needs to not deal with that. Is that the best absolute way financially to do that thing? No way. But for a single young woman who's on a career path and serious about other stuff, she needs to save the time, and she's not going to she's going to put her car on Craigslist and then entertain all the ding-dongs that show up and try to negotiate. No, that's not for her. So it is appropriate. These convenient scenarios are appropriate in certain situations.
Right.
But for the rest of us who can do stuff, no.
Exactly.
That's my... I'm trying to equalize this now. I'm trying to offset the rant.
Is that what you're doing? Now you're saying, but it doesn't apply to everyone. Would you make up your mind, Jack? Sorry.
Join us in the next episode where we explain the whole flirt to convert concept. Jill loves this topic.
That'll be awesome. And we're going to answer Noah's question about where we get our templates for terms documents. Templates that work. We can help with that.
Join us tomorrow, same time. You are not alone in your real estate ambition. I think we kept it under control.
Good. Thank you. Hey, if you like our show, please be sure and rate us on iTunes or wherever you are listening. We appreciate that.
Nice plug.
Thank you. So, did you think we'd handle that okay? We didn't tick off too many people?
No, I don't care.
I mean, when you really think about it, come on.
Go ahead.
We all know people that have had horror stories. That's a fact. And we all know people, there's always like a real estate person in the family. And the reason they always to enter into real estate is because I had a bad experience too, right? You know, my mom did it. My mom became a real estate agent to buy our house and get the inside track. Then she ended up doing it for a little bit, but her heart was in it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing too.
She
My
took
mom
responsibility for the deal.
She did. It was I remember she was like working 80 hours a week. We never saw her, and she'd be writing
That's why she
up
did
offers
it.
on Christmas Eve. Seriously, you know. So that's, some people really work hard at it, and I appreciate that.
Oh, now you're trying to level it out.
Yeah. Oh, good.
I know. I talked to my sister. I said, what's the market like? She said, every property that we get in, it's an auction situation, and it sells 5 days later. And it's always for the higher than the listing price. Well, then why do you need a real estate agent?
Good point.
And she didn't say, it's because we're great real estate agents. She said, because the market's great.
Whatever.
Jill and I, next year, are going to launch some products that solve this for the normal person.
Oh, it's coming. Just wait.
It is coming. Information and inspiration to buy undervalued property.
We are Jack and Jill, and
this was the Cash Flow from Land Show. We are the experts at acquiring property
Of all kinds, not just land.
for half price just so we can flip it for way more.
And really fast. Thanks for listening.
You are not alone in your real estate ambition.